Inshallah. So just a quick recap. We were talking about it before Aisha. And look, for those of you who are working on it, maybe struggling, look, it comes down to two main things: pattern recognition and then knowing the vocabulary. So this is going to really help because you see some word, and then if you can break it down, then it becomes much easier to understand it. So breaking down will come from pattern recognition, and then once you have isolated or you found that core of the word, then you need to either recall something that you already know about that vocabulary or add to your vocabulary. So here, for example, inna, indeed we. So this is a pattern that we have seen several times. So inna means indeed. So you have a noon alif attached to it, which means we. So inna, indeed we. So either you can break it down or it is very small by itself. So you just remember it, right? Inna, indeed we. Okay. So here you will see this again. So look, balawnahum. So let's do a pattern recognition first. Let's break it down, and then this coloring is actually helping you to do the pattern recognition. See, you have the verb in the green, and then you have the pronouns in this blue and black, right? So na is one pronoun and hum is another pronoun. This na is kind of coming here as well. If you see this prawn, see this prawn, right? So na is part. So na is part of the pronoun. So na means we. So this is the pattern fa'al na. So the word na comes at the end, and that is a pattern for past tense verbs in which the doer is we. Okay, so balawna, we balaw. Okay, maybe you don't know what balaw means, so let's park it. So we balaw. Okay, so we did some action that's called balaw, right? And then you have what? Hum. Hum is another pronoun that means them. So we did some action on them. Clear? Now, what is that action? So ba lam wow is for testing. Okay, so this is something that we also saw in Surah Al-Mulk, for example. تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم. So it's the bala, or yablu is to test. So that's the work, right? So how would you do that work? Is by practicing. So especially Rahil was asking, like, what's the methodology? So that's the methodology: pattern recognition and then building your vocabulary, and that happens by repetition, just like anything else in life. Kama, like. Is this something new? All of you always keep saying it every day. Do you know that? Okay, let's put a bet. Halal bet. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. This is it. Like, oh Allah, send blessings, send prayers upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his al and his followers, his family, like you have done to Ibrahim alayhi salam and his followers. So that's kama. So I hope nobody will forget that, inshallah. Kama, like as. Balawna, same thing. Inna balawnahum kama balawna. Okay, now here, what's the difference? We tested them. Now here, the object is not mentioned, right? So it's going to come later, okay? In this case, what is them? Who is them? Right, so whom? So it's not mentioned. It's talking about the people who are receiving the wahi, the people of Makkah, and so on and so forth. But it's not mentioned here. It's going to be mentioned below. Like we tested who? Ashab al Jannah. So ashab is again very common, right? Sahaba, companions, companions of al Jannah. Okay, the garden, right? Now here I'm going to give you two things. It's advanced. It's not super necessary, but especially useful for memorization. So there are two patterns here that we talked about last time as well. So the first pattern is noun followed by another noun, and the second noun is ending with a kasra or a double kasra. Actually, it would, I think it would always be single kasra, but anyways, ending with a kasra, right? Sometimes I forget my patterns. So example, Rasulullah, he. Ism, ending with a kasra, right? Kitabullahi, Abdullahi. So that pattern is for relationship we talked about last week. So relationship, what is the relationship? Companion of the garden, book of Allah, slave of Allah, and so on and so forth. So that's one pattern here. Clear? What's the other pattern? Why is this ashaba? No, so remember last time we said it's ending with the fatha because it's in accusative or in Arabic mansub state, which is used for if you are an object of an action. If you're receiving an action or something around it, then you will receive this state. It does not necessarily help you with your understanding. So Rahil or anybody else who is new, not a big deal, okay? But it helps with memorization and so on and so forth, right? Why is it ashaba and not ashabu?
Ashabu is if it is for you.
It's for then no. No, ashabu, like, okay, so that's a different rule that we talked about, right? Yeah, so let's not get to today. Maybe we can recap that. So if you look at last week's audio, the video, you will see this concept, which is the state of noun. Every noun can be in one of the three states: marfu, mansub, or majrur, or and there are rules that make them go into that state. So that's why we talked in detail last week. It's not super important concept. So if you haven't gotten the other concepts solidified yet, don't delve into it yet. If when إذا جاء نصر الله, okay, if when أقسموا. So here, okay, let's do the pattern recognition. The waw is for plural, okay. What you have in the middle is qaf, sin, mim, qasam, which means to take an oath. Aqsamu, they took oath. La yasrimunnaha. All right, so there's a lot of patterns here, a lot of things to break down. So let's take this la first because our brother asked in the beginning, remember? That's your la. What was your thing? Wa inna laka la ajran. Same thing. La, surely. Okay. So here they're saying it what? Emphasis. So that's the purple color, or I don't know what's the right word for this color. I'm going to call it purple based on my vocab here. So this la is surely. Okay. And then you have the ha, which is a pronoun. What is the ha for? She or her. So here, right? If you look at the verb table, and the ha is for no in the pronoun chart, the ha is for her. There you go. So this one here, right? Attached pronoun ha. So la yasrimun. Okay. Then you have the noon mushaddad. This is also used for emphasis, right? So you're like la and then noon mushaddad. All right. Now you're left with the core. Okay. Now even within that core, there's something else to dissect as well. The ya in the beginning. Yes, rimu. So what's the word now? Yes. So no, what ya is for? Oh, guys, what's going on? Wake up, everybody. Yeah, he. La yasrimunnaha. Surely we will. What's going on there? To pluck its fruit. Yasrimu. Third person masculine. Also, they when they had this oath that we will pick the fruit. Third person masculine plural imperfect word, and this pronoun is the third person feminine singular. So what is this ha referring to?
She.
Yeah, but what is that? The fruit of? So no, it's referring to the Jannah, garden, right? The yes, so we will harvest it, meaning we will harvest the garden. Musbihin. Okay, so here, if you remember last week, we were saying that usually when meme is followed by some quality, it's like someone who has this quality. Okay, so we had many examples: Muslimin, Mu'minin, Munafiqin. Okay, that's another pattern. So let's break it down. Yanun is for plural. Okay, and meme is to have this quality. Okay, so what are you left with? Which is early morning, right? Musbihin. So we will be the ones who are the people of early morning. So we'll do it in the early morning. Okay. Wala, and now this is a okay. There you go. So you found another shorter word. Worse, if you want to go for that, right? Wala and not. So you see both now. The la with the alif is for negation, and this lie is only lam fatha, that's for surely. Yastathnun, okay, let's break it down. Wa nun is for plural, ya is for third person, so that makes it they. And then you have sin ta tha nun, which is for to make an exception. So that's a new word, but it's to make an exception. Let's see if there's anything else in Quran with this root letters. So I'm going to open it up here. I can't think of it from my head, so let's see if there is. Oh, yep, there isn't. Okay. Fatafa from tawaf, right? To come around. So, five, so, or then. Tawafa, it came around. Alayha, upon it, meaning the garden, right? Same ha is pointing back to the garden. Ta'if, see? Tawafa and ta'if. This is how you make the doer from the word. So, fa'ala and then fa'il. Ta'if is the one who goes around. Min, from Rabbika, your Lord. Okay, so we're just gonna go fast. Wahum, while they were na'imun, they were sleeping. Right? So noon, hamza, mim. So that's the root letters for sleep. La ta'khudhuhu sinatun. Okay, that's where it's coming from. Fa asbahat. So they became. Asbahat, they became. Or if you want it to be more precise, so she became. This ta is for she. Asbahat. Kasarim. What is the ka for?
So
Ka is like. So remember we saw kama. So kama and ka are both like. So kasarim, like as if it was reaped, right? Harvested. Fatanadaw. So they called out. Tanada, to call out. Nada, yunadi, to call out. I'm just trying to see if there's anything. وَإِذْ نَادَى رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ. Right, yeah. No, it's وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ. What is nada? I can't find. Anyways, couldn't think of it, but it is also very common. We could see it if you want to. Let's quickly do it. فَنَادَتْهُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَهُوَ قَائِمٌ. So another thing I do, that's a good technique as well, especially on computer. Let's say if you wanted to see where else this comes, what you can do is just go down and look at the latest occurrences of this word, because most likely it would be from some surah that you know, because it's going to be like Juz Amma and so on and so forth. So for example, فَحَشَرَ فَنَادَى, right? He's talking about Fir'aun. So he gathered and he called out. إِذْ نَادَاهُ رَبُّهُ بِالْوَادِ الْمُقَدَّسِ طُوًى, right? His Lord called him, meaning to Musa alayhi salam, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Probably 68 is what? No. Okay, back here. فَتَنَادَوْا مُصْبِحِينَ أَنِ اغْدُوا, and that اغْدُوا, go early, عَلَى, to حَرْثِكُمْ, your crop, in, if, kuntum, you would, صَارِمِينَ, the ones who pick the fruit. So see, Sad, Ra, Mim. If you can identify that it's related to plucking, picking, harvesting, Sarim is the one who picks it. Yanun is for plural. We saw that earlier here. La yasrimunnaha. Where did it go? Right? So that's the same word. Right? So that is the concept of root letters. Sad, Ra, Mim. So if you can have it registered in your mind that it's related to plucking and harvesting. So yasrimunnaha is the verb and sarim is the doer of that verb, meaning the one who picks the fruit or one who harvests. فانطلقوا, so they went, wahum, while they were, yatakhafatun, from, so lowering their voice, like hushing, right? And that, la, not yadkhulannaha. So that's a good pattern. Again, noon mushaddad for emphasis, certainly. Ha is for the same ha, the she, right? Which is the Jannah, the garden. And dal, kha, lam is for enter, right? Do you see any other common word with that? Um, I mean, it's in Surah Al-Fajr, for example, وَادْخُلِي فِي عِبَادِي, right? I'm sure like it is a very common word. I mean, you can definitely think of some adhkar where we have this. Okay, al-yawma, today, alaykum, upon you, miskin, any poor person, right? That's clear. Wa ghadaw, and they went early, ala, upon hard, determination, qadirin, feeling that they were able. From qaf dal ra, qudra, right? Falamma, so then when, ra'awha. Okay, now this ra has come so many times. Ra'a is to see, right? Hal tara min futur, you see. So ra'a, they see, tara, you see. Also in ara'aita, have you seen, have you considered? Alladhi yukadhibu bid-din. Qalu, they said, inna, indeed we. لضالون, surely lost. So ضالون, ضالين, right? غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Same thing. Now here, same thing, right? This wanun and yanun is for the state of the noun that we talked about last time. Bal means rather or nay. Nahnu, we, mahrumun, someone who has been deprived. Again, so wanun is for plural, and meme is for someone who had this quality. Muslimin, munafiqin. What is the quality is? Ha, ra, meme, to make someone something prohibited, prevented, like from haram. Mahrumin, mahrumun, deprived. Qala, he said, awsatuhum, from wast, waw, sa, ta, right? The middle path. Awsat, the middle one, the moderate one. Alam, did not. Aqul, I said. Lakum, to you. Law, na. Lawla means why not. Tusabbihun, ta is for you. Wawnun is for you all. It makes it plural. And what you are left with is sin, baha. That's the same thing as subhanallah, right? So why don't you glorify us in the verb form? Why don't you glorify Allah? Why don't you mention Allah? Qalu, they said, subhana, same thing, right? Rabbina, our Lord. Inna, indeed we, kunna, were zalimin, wrongdoers, transgressors. فَأَقْبَلَ, so they approach from qaf balam, ba'duhum, some of them, ala, to ba'din, some of them, yatalawamun, blaming each other. So wawnun for plural, ya is for they, ya wawnun becomes they, and then you have laum, which is to blame. Laumata, la, if that's something else, also comes in Quran, to blame. Qalu, they said, ya waylana, oh woe to us. Inna, indeed we, kunna taghin. Asa is for hope, right? Asa for hope, perhaps. Rabbuna, our Lord. And that yubdilana. So yubdilana, he substitutes, he exchange us. Khayran, better. Minha, than it, the garden. Inna, indeed we, ila, to him, our Rabb. Raghibun, ones who is turning in devout hope. Raghain B, Raghain Ba, right? فَإِذَا فَرَغْتَ فَانْصَبْ وَإِلَى رَبِّكَ فَارْغَب. To have this hope. كذلك, like that, العذاب, the punishment, ولا عذاب, and surely the punishment of al-akhirati, of the hereafter. So that's the same pattern. Noun after noun, the next noun ending in a kasra. Akbar, greater. Law, if. Kanu, they. Ya'lamun, no. That's it. So that's where we stop. Any questions? Okay, so those who remember, yeah, sorry.
So I think this was in the previous one. So not the piece that we're looking at right now, but there was no lam ta'kid on one of the verbs. It just had the mushaddad, and the lam ta'kid was not there. Is this like an exception to the rule, or?
No, yeah. So it doesn't have to. The both don't have to come together. It could be either or as well. Yeah, sometimes you just see one of them. Like for example, in verse number 3, as the brother was mentioning, وَإِنَّ لَكَ لَأَجْرًا. You surely have a reward that will not be stopped. So yes, it doesn't have to be both together. If there's both, then it's like double emphasis. Okay. All right. So yeah, there's another concept. It's called So last week, especially those who are following, this is an advanced rule. So if you don't get it, don't worry too much about it. So each noun, okay, can have one of the three states. Okay, the three states are marfu, majroor, and mansub. Okay, so in human analogy, think of it as three different roles that a human being, a man or a woman, can have in their life. Okay, uh, simple example, uh, for example, the doer of a verb or the object of the verb, right? Same person can be doer, right? So I am giving you my phone, so now I'm the doer, right? Or you gave me the phone, now I'm the taker, right? So same person but different role. Or if someone says that, okay, if it's in a relationship form, my son, my father, whatever, right? So now it's in a relationship form. So three different roles. Okay, so each noun can be in these three different roles. Most of the time when a noun is in one of these three different roles, he or she will have a different clothing, will have a different appearance. So the appearance that we usually talk about is the ending of a fatha, kasra, or dhamma. Usually it would have how many appearances? Three. Okay. And now sometime a noun can only have two different appearances, right? So which means that he only has two types of clothes. He can either have a thobe or a suit. That's it. So either he has to wear a thobe or a suit. That's the only two options he has. Now, which means that for the three states, right? Because the states are still three: the doer, the receiver, and a relationship, as an example. So, but if he only has two outfits, then he will have to share. Okay, so maybe in the two states he used thobes, and in one state he will use a suit. Okay, these outfits can be different things. Most common one of these outfits are fatha, dhamma, and kasra, but there can be other things. Now there are some nouns that do not change. They only have one outfit. Okay, so which means that they do not change based on their states. Okay, now so that's the common rule, but sometimes you have some exception that can come in because that's how the Arabs said it. Okay, so our question last week was about pronouns, and these are the pronouns here. So one pronoun that we were looking at. So if you look at all these pronouns like ka, kuma, kum, so these pronouns, these attached pronouns or detached pronouns, they are from that example that they only have one outfit. They only have one outfit, meaning that they do not change their look and feel. They do not change their outfit based on the state that they are in. However, sometimes you will see them changing that, and that is more to do with how Arabs were saying it. Maybe it makes it easier to on the tongue or whatnot, but it's not something to do with the state changes. It's not something to do with the appearance changing because of the state. So the example that we were looking at, for example, sabilihi. So we have fi sabilihi, but we have anhu and not anhi, is because they don't change position based on the state. So if that makes sense, that's great. If it doesn't make sense, that's not something really to worry about. Okay, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.